Welcome to the Future Is Freelance podcast, brought to you by Zolo, the operating system for the solo economy. Every week, we're serving up an audio cocktail of expert tips, inspired insights, and stories from the frontiers of freelancing to help you grow your borderless business to new heights and live life on your own terms. So kick back, grab a snack, let's get started. So welcome to episode 5, coming at you on Freelance Friday the 13th of May. A date considered unlucky in some parts of the world, but not right here and now, because we know that we are lucky to have your listening attention in this moment. In fact, everyone at the Future Is Freelance is thrilled with the positive response to our launch this week and the feedback on the first 4 episodes. In case you missed any of them, I urge you to check back and have a listen, as we did share some absolute gems with you from the very start. And don't forget that the easiest way to make sure you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes is simply to subscribe to this show using your podcast app of choice. But on to today's Freelance Friday release. Hayley King is someone I wanted you to meet on the show because, to me, she epitomizes a true Renaissance soul, the kind of portfolio person who could only be a freelancer and who has built an incredibly unique business around her personal skills and interests. In this interview, she talks frankly about the dynamic tension between her roles of client service provision and being creative, and how she manages these boundaries. Being very clear that her maker persona is about satisfying her own artistic fulfilment rather than customer demands, and how this means she can stay true to her personal values as well as her creative intent. Hayley is presently based in the south coast of the UK, and, well, I'll let her tell you about all the different things she's doing. But if you want to find links to any of it, then do check out the show notes in your podcast player. So welcome, Hayley. It's wonderful to have you with us. A lot of people that I've met in this solopreneur and freelancing space dream about doing exactly what you're doing and combining all their different passions and ideas and forms of creativity to make a business that is completely unique to them. I was really keen to talk to you and have you share that with our listeners, because you're someone I know who is successfully living that life and you're helping other people to do it. So I think the first thing that would be really helpful if you could explain to our viewers who you are and what do you do?
Oh, thank you very much for having me. My name's Hayley and I'm a freelance social media manager, community manager, writer and goldsmith by trade, and also a mother of 2.
Okay, so you fit that in as well. So we've got, I know you do social media for research, for market research. You've got jewelry, poetry, I know I have seen, and also marketing to do with dogs and brands related to dogs. So it's such an amazing combination. I think that for a lot of people, if they tried to combine all of those things, particularly when it comes to their social media and their personal branding, it will be easy to give off really confused and mixed messages about who they are and what they're doing and what people should approach them about professionally. But all I can see is that you are killing it on social media. And I know that's actually your profession and the service you outsource, but what is the secret to bringing all those threads together successfully?
To be honest, it all kind of happened quite organically. It really started with Gemma, who is the founder of Podengo Market Research and a good friend of mine, who I reached out to her when I was at a point I was ready to return to work, and I was kind of hitting a brick wall. I knew I wanted to work remotely, and my skill set on paper just wasn't cutting it for all the people out there. It was post-pandemic. And Gemma kind of, she said she needed someone to help her with her social media. And so it started with from that with Podengo Market Research. And it really was a learning curve. Just basically listening and reaching out to as many people as possible and just learning as I go. So I've really only been doing it for a year and a half. But then again, Hound's Truth, which is the dog lovers community that you mentioned, that is another one that just kind of came organically, but is another brainchild of Gemma's. She is an animal lover through and through and has lots of rescue animals. And that's been a pleasure to kind of grow that with her from the ground up. when it comes to like the poetry and the jewelry, that was always kind of my own personal side hustle. And so through the last year and a half, I was doing jewelry, and I've always done jewelry and writing since day dot, but I've been able to utilize my skill set that I've learned from connecting people through social media and build my own business from that with the jewelry. And the poetry is the style of writing that I enjoy. So I've been doing that instead of blogs. But the secret, I don't really know if there is a secret.
Well, that's honest anyway. I think for me, what stands out is I know you do a lot of lives and you do a lot of stories and reels. Maybe it's because it's something I've got on my radar to try and get better at in terms of how I use social media. But do you think it's that bringing your individual self to all of these as the common thread? Is that maybe what holds it all together?
I mean, that's one thing I've learned through social media is that people love people. So if you just be yourself as authentic as possible, just your true self, then that's the best way to really connect with people. And working flexibly is incredible. Being able to work from home is amazing. I really enjoy it. But I also really value my online community. So I want to connect with other real people. So yeah, I think that's why reels do so well, and video content, because you get to see snippets into people's lives. So
that's interesting, isn't it? I wonder if that's been enhanced by the whole forced working from home thing, that we feel more comfortable sharing, little bits of our background and our home and our, insights in whether we wanted to or not in the first place. But maybe that level of disclosure being forced on us has made people, I don't know, a little bit more authentic, a little bit more comfortable bringing their whole selves to it. I can't believe the glimpses I've had as a journalist into people's families and kitchens and bedrooms, if that's where they're doing their recording. I think that's so interesting. And it's wonderful that you've managed to keep your really creative strands going whilst also doing commercial work for a market research company. But I saw something really interesting on your social media, an announcement that you made recently about your jewelry, which really resonated for me, actually. You mentioned that you're no longer doing commissions to order, and instead you're focusing on your original collections instead. And that really struck home to me because as a writer, obviously, I'm usually trying to find that balance between writing stuff for other people for money, which is great for keeping the lights on and paying the bills, versus trying to create the things that inspire me personally. And again, that was a reason I wanted to talk to you, because I know in our network of viewers and listeners, we have people who are very creative in the work that they do, but they're not always finding it commercially viable to create the things they want. So can you share any insights about how to make that work commercially and avoid being this stereotype of a starving artist at the same time as expressing yourself creatively?
I think it is about finding that balance. And I think going back to one of the lives that we had with you when you came on to Eureka, and you mentioned about setting healthy boundaries. I, at the start of this year, had set myself a goal to have a certain amount that I wanted to earn every month. And I very quickly reached that goal come February. But then I found myself crazy busy, to the point where I wasn't switching off from work when work was finishing, and I didn't have any time for my creative side. I had left no time for my jewelry. So actually, that's when I decided to take a step back and actually spend some more time with my children and free up more time to allow that creative space, which is harder because you do then have to you're acknowledging the fact that, okay, I'm not going to take that job for that money, and it's not about the money. Actually, I value my time over the money. And I think that's what I set out to do with the commissions. So since setting up my jewelry business again, I've had a lot of people get in touch about commissioning work, but I wasn't pricing myself for the design process. I was only pricing myself in the past for actually making the piece, and the design is half the time. most of the time.
Yes.
So it was about me communicating my healthy boundary of saying, actually, this is this is how the space that allows me to be creative and make exactly what I want to make.
Yeah.
And then if somebody wants to buy a piece from me, they can buy a piece from me, as opposed to me making one of their designs.
I love that. That's so powerful. So just to recap then, you started off by sort of income blocking. Yes, I've made this threshold of what I need to invoice somebody else for this month, and the rest of this time is mine to create. And therefore, because I'm going to be creating, I'm not doing it on somebody else's agenda. I'm going to actually make the stuff that I love. That's so interesting. So I suppose then the design process is coming from within you. You're not feeling you have to charge that to somebody when you're trying to get an idea out of their head into a finished piece. I mean, that must be so difficult anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that I found I really struggled with that in the past. I had a lot of friends reach out for engagement rings, which is obviously really sweet and thoughtful, but the pressure's really on. So actually, it takes the cost of design out, and also it means that I can stick to my values of wanting to create sustainably as possible. So using recycled materials, and minimizing my footprint as much as possible, all recycled packaging, which I sometimes would have to cut corners on if it was for somebody else.
Sure, yeah.
If it was a design made by somebody else. So it allows me that space.
I love that. And the fact that you've drawn that clear boundary, it sort of makes you an artist rather than a crafts person, maybe, or an artist rather than an artisan. I'm not sure if these are the right words, and it's certainly nothing disrespectful to people who are creating things to order, because that's an incredibly powerful and amazing thing to do. But you've decided that that time is on another level, and you're only going to make stuff you love. That's amazing. So, and I understand what you're saying as well about people not always being able to express their design ideas clearly, and then you have to try and realize that, and it might not be quite what they want, and people don't always have the language of design. And yes, if somebody's engagement ring, no pressure, you really got to try and telepathically give them exactly what they always dreamed of but didn't know how to ask for. Must be quite a challenge. So what kind of jewellery is it that you make? I mean, we'll put links into the show notes, but I'm sure lots of people are going to be intrigued now to hear about what kind of things you're working on.
So silver, gold, lots of semi-precious stones. It's really inspired by other pieces or whatever I acquire. For example, I had in my previous jewellery business, I had a silver cups collection, which was a collection of jewellery made entirely out of a silver cup that was my partner's great-granddad's. When they all come together, you can see the cup in its entirety. But from that cup, there was a bangle, there were a few pendants, a few pieces of earrings, and it was made entirely of just one cup. So it's like the jewelry lives on, so to speak.
Wow.
And so that's really my main focus, just to recycle and upcycle. And that's why I say it's normally inspired by something that I've already made, because it will be offcuts. And then I'm like, oh, what does this look like? And what can this be? And then it kind of grows from there.
Yes. What does that suggest? Fantastic. I love the idea of making a collection of jewellery from a single item that you're upcycling into all these different components, and that each person that buys or wears a piece from that collection will know that it's part of a greater whole somewhere, and that it was had a different life before them. I think that's very inspiring. And I know that somehow you've managed to have all these creative businesses, including basically a craft aspect to your business, whilst traveling as well. And you've got 2 kids, so I know that lots of people, again, this is an aspirational thing, people are attracted to the idea of being a bit of a digital nomad and going to different places, but you've made it work. So what's the secret for doing that with a family and a craft business?
Well, to be honest, it has been It's been turbulent at times, moving countries. We've moved from England to Spain, and then we were in Spain for 6 years, and then we moved back. But I really feel like working remotely has enabled that.
Right.
To be able to just take it with me wherever I go. It does mean I'm flexibly working. Sometimes I'm working in the evenings. Sometimes I finish my working day at 1:00 so that I can spend all afternoon having picked my kids up from school, and then I work late in the evenings, or sometimes I'm tapping away whilst on holiday. But it also means that it's fluid. If I want to go to the cinema this afternoon with my children, I can go to the cinema this afternoon with my children. I'm able to prioritize on a day-to-day basis.
Fantastic.
It's I mean the moving countries is I've really only felt that I could do that because I'm supported by flexible working, and I've got, as I mentioned earlier, an incredible community of flexible working people around me who are all spinning random plates and making it work, and just having empathy and compassion for each other, knowing that actually we've all just post-pandemic coming out the other side, and it's all change, and it's about adaptation, basically.
Definitely. It sounds like you've achieved the kind of nirvana of flexibility where you're not only location independent, you're time independent, and you can work extremely asynchronously and flexibly. And that seems to be the way to meet all these different commitments in your life and fulfill all these different roles. So I think that's definitely something that a lot of people are aspiring to. And in fact, I first met you through your Facebook community, Eureka, which is, I think, where a lot of that community that you were talking about is coming from. All there's different people who are doing all sorts of different things and in different locations, but in the same kind of way, in an entrepreneurial, solopreneur, freelance way. I really like the sense of community in that group and the way that people help each other. I think there are a lot of different freelancer communities out there. And for example, I'm a member of some writers' ones, but sometimes there's this sense of competitiveness. Like if somebody posts an opportunity, everybody piles in on it and things like that. And I've never felt that in Eureka. It's always just felt incredibly uplifting and a sense of mutual support. So where has that come from, do you think? Is that the tone that you and Gemma wanted to set from the beginning, or is that something organic?
Again, Gemma's brainchild. We through social media had obviously connected with lots and lots of small businesses and people starting out, and I think Gemma just kind of had seen the need for a free space of support for a lot of people. A lot of businesses had closed during the pandemic. A lot of people were starting afresh. And a lot of people were suddenly remotely working from home, and so actually it was her idea, and she's been the brains and I've been the muscle, so to speak. But I think it works so well because it's been friends and friends of friends, and from the offset it's always been encouraging everybody to promote their businesses and to support one another and to collaborate over compete, because we all need each other.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
And if we can support another small business, another friendly business, another parent-owned business, all these things that resonate with different people on different levels, it's just so nice to buy from or do deals with people who are going to have the same kind of values as you and get the same kind of benefit from it. I know you do lots of educational work in there with different sort of seminars and lives and things. Where did the idea for all of that come from? Is it just sort of using the talents already in the group or trying to solve specific problems?
Yeah, so it's the idea really is to be able to, from a market research standpoint, to offer the group exactly what they want and to help them as much as possible. So we do regular polls within the group to say, what do you need help with within your business? And then we'll also, at the same time as meeting that need, via whether it be like a live on how to run a successful LinkedIn profile, or whether it's SEO for your website. It also then offers an expert within the group or from further afield to talk about that with and offer their services and to be seen. So it's like a visibility standpoint as well. So it offers them a chance to build trust within the group, and for the group to learn a little something and to ask questions. So
yeah, no, it's brilliant. And it really shows the breadth of talent and experience that you can surface within, there are bigger communities, but it's one that's clearly got such diverse backgrounds and different kinds of people who can bring different things to the table. So that's really exciting. I know that you said it's kind of friends and friends of friends, and you've grown it quite selectively in that sense rather than going broad. But if it sounds like something that listeners would like to get involved with, what should they do?
100%. You can look us up on Facebook. We are Eureka for Business. If you type that into your search bar, you can come and join us over there. Please introduce yourself, introduce your business, ask any questions that you have, include any links to your website, share any offers, and you'll be welcome with open arms.
Brilliant. Okay, I can speak up for the warm welcome that you'll definitely receive. And in fact, we'll put the link directly to the group in the show notes for this episode. Then people can just hop right in. Please tell everyone in the group that you heard about it on the Future Is Freelance. And I'm sure that you'll find the content that Hayley and Gemma are sharing in there extremely valuable. A lot of what we talk about on this show is helping people shift that mindset from being a freelancer to operating more like a business, thinking like a solopreneur, even if they're not intending to grow and hire other people and grow their business in that sense. It's growing that professionalism and increasing your skills base and your productivity. And it might mean not doing some things like really niching down and knowing whom to outsource to as well, which is another reason that community is so important. So I think you'll find it extremely valuable to get involved with Hayley's community. And I know she's going to be helping to spread the word about the podcast. And so it's just another of these amazing synergies where we all help each other, and the rising tide helps uplift us all. So definitely highly recommended. And apart from Eureka and your jewelry and everything else that's going on for you, Hayley, what's coming up? What are you excited about for the future?
So for the future, we've literally, on a personal level, we've just moved house again. So this is the last piece of the puzzle. I've been like looking forward to getting myself a studio set up here. So I've got an actual designated workspace, because that is something that's very important when you are working from home, is that you have your own space set up. So I'm going to get my studio set up in the garage. Got my own little studio space, and then also my desktop set up in the office as well. So on the horizon, I would love to do some in-person meetups. So I've connected with a lot of small businesses here through Eureka, but here based in Brighton. And I would love to do some face-to-face meetups with that. Maybe even run some workshops. I really feel like the face of social media is changing quite a lot as well. So I'm having to adapt with that. I've set myself my own personal challenge of just posting reels for the next week to 2 weeks to get my reach back up. I noticed a real dip in engagement on our posts. And know that video content does very well, so I thought I would actually just give us a little boost across all the platforms. The only problem I do struggle with reels is obviously there isn't any way of scheduling them yet.
Okay, so it's lots of real time engagement and having to show up every day.
Yeah, it means real time with reels.
Yeah, I suppose that's what there are so many good scheduling tools now that this is the networks pushing back against that and saying we're going to deprecate you unless you're there, unless you show up on the platform.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's so easy to disconnect if you have a scheduling tool, you can just line it up for the next 3 weeks and then pop in and engage. But that creates a level of disconnect. So
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely something that it's a bit of an ongoing tension, isn't it? I know I tend to do that with Twitter. It's just kind of bung stuff into a queue, and then some of it will land and some of it won't, and I'll never know why, or whether it was the timing or the fact that it just wasn't there when somebody happened to see it or like it. I couldn't immediately engage back with them. So, but then as small business owners, we all have this challenge of trying to not spend our entire lives on one social media platform or another. So, any tips or suggestions there to help people use that time smartly, I suppose?
Yeah, I would say it's very beneficial to be using it regularly, but to also to use it wisely. Use the reminders so that you don't set yourself a reminder so that you do half an hour of engagement a day maximum, and don't find yourself scrolling, but use everything within the application. And Instagram, use all the stories, share your story, look at people's posts, engage with other people, but when it's done, let it be done. Don't turn your notifications off so that you don't fall down that slippery slope of doom scrolling or even scrolling late at night on your phone.
Been there, guilty. I think the other thing I know I'm guilty of is spending time thinking, I'll hop on LinkedIn or I'll hop on Insta for a bit because I know I need to show up there from a professional point of view. And then I find I've been half an hour without actually showing up at all. All I've been doing is consuming content, which is great when people have got fascinating content for me to absorb, but actually it doesn't do anything for me. And what I've tried to do, set my target for the month, is to try and leave breadcrumbs of, even if it's just a like, it probably less than 1 second with your thumb to just to show up. And otherwise it does feel like wasted time. However much I think I'm learning from all this amazing content, if I don't even show appreciation to the creator by saying, yeah, that was cool, or so that's what, do you think that's what I should be doing? Is it commenting that matters, or likes, or as much 100%. Engagement as possible?
I mean, if with stories, it's great if you can actually type something, start a conversation, because you're directly messaging somebody, you're sliding into their DMs, and you don't even have to be following each other to get into that inbox. So it's always good to start a conversation on stories. Posts as well, like and comment, like you say, show appreciation, ask questions, start the conversation so that you're seen there, because that's the only way you're going to be visible as well. And it's a give take, isn't it? If you're supporting others and you're seen there, then you're going to boost the algorithm as well, and they're going to see yours. And I always have, maybe there's probably about 15 to 20 accounts who are like the hardcore fans who I know I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be there for them, and they're going to be there for me, and I speak to them every day. And you feel like you know them really well, but you've never met them, but you know them because you see their stories every day and you see their posts, and you're championing one another. But yeah, use everything within the application, I would say. Use IGTV. And yeah, when it comes to engaging, just be there and be present. Do like and do comment.
We might have to come back and do a specific skills episode on just how to do all this stuff, because I look at Instagram video and reels and things like that and just feel I'm in danger of getting left behind or feeling old. And I accept that video is clearly the future, which is why we're recording video today. I wonder what that will mean for the more traditional forms of social media. And as a social media professional, I've got to ask you, what do you think is going to happen with Twitter?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I think Twitter is kind of a law unto itself. It's different to the others. Video content does do very well on Twitter, and that is known, because you can post links. It is known, but it's also it's not used in the same way. It's used as like a news source. It's used as like quick, punchy lines. So I don't see. I mean, I know obviously Elon Musk, I believe, has just bought Twitter. So, I mean, I won't go there. But I don't see Twitter changing a great deal. I mean, Instagram was already a visual platform, so I could see why it would want to compete with TikTok on that aspect. But Twitter wasn't ever really a visual platform.
Right.
It was always more of a newsworthy source. Yeah. So I don't see a great deal changing.
Interesting. Well, I'm just so curious about canvassing people's opinions about that. And I didn't put that in the list of things we were going to talk about today. So I put you on the spot with that, Hayley, and value your insight. I heard somebody, it was on a podcast, and I can't tell you who, earlier this week, say Elon talks about Twitter being the public square and the town square, but actually it's not any place for that kind of level of debate. And actually it's more like the Colosseum. It's just people baying for blood and playing each other off against each other. So that's not going to change when it's run by a freedom of speech absolutist, whatever that turns out to mean in real life. There are already corners of the internet like that, let's face it. And if people end up leaving, maybe we'll see them all in Eureka or somewhere a little bit more nurturing and positive and pleasant for the future. So some advice in a nutshell then, apart from clicking on the link to join the Eureka community, obviously, any other advice you'd like to share with our listeners who know that the future is freelance, but how can we help them get there and make the most of it?
I think it's just taking one step at a time, really, and have faith in yourself. Oftentimes I might suffer with imposter syndrome, but then there's a community of people out there that have faith in me. So if others have faith in you, have faith in yourself, and know that, if you can be fluid and open to change and open to the flexibility, remote working will be fantastic. Take the plunge, do the thing, and be open to join Eureka, and we'll help you.
Fantastic.
Basically, we'll hold your hand.
I really like that. And I think it's a good reminder for all of us that it is these small, nimble micro businesses or solopreneurs who can pivot when change happens, whether that's a pandemic or a change in the social media algorithms or whatever, that's a positive advantage and asset that we can all take advantage of and learn from each other what works and what doesn't, and keep moving and supporting each other. So thank you ever so much, Hayley. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing these insights with you today, and we've really enjoyed having you on The Future Is Freelance.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine. I'm so excited to hear it back and to share it and to listen to the other episodes of Future Is Freelance.
Brilliant. That's what it's all about. We'll all keep sharing. You've been listening to the Future Is Freelance podcast, brought to you by Solo.io, who offer compliance, taxation, invoicing and admin solutions for fiercely independent solopreneurs across the globe. From simply getting paid to launching a full EU-based limited company, Solo has you covered, thanks to Estonian e-residency and a superb suite of streamlined business software. If you enjoyed the show, please like, rate and comment, and subscribe to our feed wherever you get your podcasts.